Hello, everyone. My name is Johnny King. I'm the Chief of Security, and I'm also a private investigator. I'll be your instructor today for this class. I want to talk to you about private security guard licensing. Not everyone can be a security guard based on the fact that your criminal record can hinder you from becoming a security guard. But other than that, you have to be the age of 18 years old to be an unarmed security personnel, and to be an armed security personnel, you have to be at least the age of 21 in most states. Now, those regulations may change by the time you attend this class, or they might not change. But given the rules and regulations based on federal and state, at this time, the minimum age is 18 to be a security personnel. Basic security guards are usually required to be employed by a security company before they are trained and before they're able to be able to receive a license. And what I mean about that is you have to be sponsored by a licensed security company. Now, there are states where um, individuals are not required to have little to no training, and there are some places where individuals are not 100% regulated by a board, and hopefully soon those states will be able to require individuals to be mandated, and hopefully they will have a board to be able to hold them accountable for as compliance with training, and as well as being able to monitor what they do and what they cannot do. So getting directly into the point of training, security personnel where I live in the state, um, the board regulates the training for as how many hours the security personnel are allowed to be able to have to in order to be able to obtain their guard license. That training is based on the first 8 hours, which must be completed within the first 30 days of them being hired. Then there's an additional 8 hours after within the first 30 days to the first 60 days, which is a total of 16 hours. After that, you'll be 100% in compliance with the board. Now, there are some consequences where an individual will be able to lose their license, and that's when they do not comply with the record required training being documented at the board level. You can have as much training as you want at the company level, but if it's not documented in your report with the board, there's no way that it can be tracked, and your guard license will be lost for somewhere between to 6 months to a year. Also, at any given time, you must recertify after 1 year if you are armed guard. Your firearm training must be recertified every year. And at any given point where the board finds you negligent or there's some type of complaint that comes up against you, there will be that company and you will be issued a cease and desist, a cease and desist. That's a letter that tells you that you must stop doing your job and an investigation will be done to see if you're liable, if you're negligent, based on the complaint that was written. That complaint can be filed by individuals, by companies, but that complaint must be credible. Now, we all know that everybody does things after the job, but you have to be able to keep yourself professional both on the job as well as off the job. Because if you have a domestic violence charge, you cannot carry a firearm. If you have assault and battery, that might end up being a felony. It's not necessarily if you have an arrest record that would hinder you from becoming a security personnel, but those arrests must be addressed and they must be placed on your application in all honesty, because the board will do a fingerprint on you and a background check will be done on each and every personnel associated with the company. And that's why it is so important for security personnel to be sponsored by a company, because individuals out here on their own, there's no accountability based on what you're doing, who you're with, what company you're representing, and so forth and so on. There must be a chain of command, and there must be compliance and responsibility regarding to what you are doing, what your company allows you to do. The board pretty much regulates what type of weapon you can have or carry as an armed security personnel. Armed security personnel are basically like the armor cars, individual picking up money, going from bank to bank, store to store, dropping off. Also, there's personnel that works at banks and works at local jewelry stores. These jobs are requiring for people to be able to protect themselves, then protect the people that they work for, their clients, be able to protect the property as well as the welfare of the people who come to the business, to be able to receive customer service, and they want to feel safe when they leave, when they come to this property as well as when they leave that property. Crime today has gone far beyond what can be comprehended. And it also seems as though law enforcement has been defunded, or they're quitting their job, they're moving to other places to find a better opportunity to perform their profession. A lot of people are not happy with what's going on in the world today, and they're trying to feel safe. So security is one of the greatest profession that anyone can go into at this time. There's billions of dollars for security contracts right now, both in the private sector as well as in the public sector. There are law enforcement personnel that work both hand in hand sometimes with law enforcement, and being a security personnel, you're sometimes called on by law enforcement if you're in that area to assist law enforcement in their job as well as while you're performing your job. But that officer must ask you, and you must have a complete understanding of what that officer wants you to do, and that's what you do. You do no more and no less than what the officer requests of you. You only complete and finish that task and leave that task after the officer has dismissed you. Make sure that when you're performing a task at the request of law enforcement, make sure you get their name, that badge number, and try to get a file number associated with the situation or incident that you are assisting with. Make sure you put that in your report. Make sure that you are in compliance in everything that you have done. Make sure while you're doing that task or before you complete that task or accomplish that task or try to engage in that act, notify your supervisor that you have this situation going on, that you're performing a task at the request for whatever law enforcement agent that you're performing that task for. Notate the time that you started, notate the time that you completed and what you did step by step and who you did it with, what officer requested you that, and what officer dismissed you from that task. Getting into performing a job as a private security personnel. Very often, security personnel, they are tasked with being dedicated officers, which means that you're pretty much stationary at one location for the duration of your shift. It doesn't matter if you're at a restaurant, grocery store, bank, laundromat, you're at an apartment complex, residential area, on campus or off campus. If you're performing business watch, you're going around checking business, making sure they're properly secure. You're responding to alarms. You're patrolling a subdivision, or you're at a senior citizen home building, or you at a location after night hours that's have federal government personnel in there, where you are vigilant for access personnel, logging personnel coming in and personnel going out. Whether you're at a VA center or a VA building where disabled veterans come and do their appointments, or any other place, or playground, or whatever agency or company that you are doing business for, make sure that you're professional at all times. Make sure that your uniform is up to par. Make sure that you're shaved. Make sure your personal hygiene is 100. Make sure that you speak to people in a professional and courtesy manner. Make sure that you're checking identification. Make sure that the person that you're speaking with is still an employee at that agent or that company, because a lot of employees can be here today and gone tomorrow. They might have been dismissed or fired after your shift or before your shift, and the information has not been passed down to you because the individual received it in an email, or they sent it to them in a letter, and they still came to the job. And very often people get fired on their day off. Believe it or not, it's pretty common. People will get fired on their day off. People often ask me how that happened. Well, it just does. It's not anything personal. When the client say they need action taken right then and there, that's what happened. Getting into the do's and don'ts of dealing with private security, it really boils down to your training. Knowing what to do when you're on the job, as well as what's not to do, is constantly, every day, routine, drill after drill, the same old thing. Be professional, talk to people in a right, respectful manner, be vigilant, get up and move around, don't stay in one place, walk your area, uh, do security checks of the restroom, the front area, the back area, the garage, everything. Know your jurisdiction, know the extent of the property in which you are constantly every day patrolling or being stationed at. Knowing where your jurisdiction ends and where your jurisdiction begins is the utmost important thing, because your power comes from the person who are employing you, or the person or building in which you are securing. Going outside of your jurisdiction makes you a liability. If you're a patrol officer moving from place to place, know that when you enter that location, that's when your authority begins. When you exit that location, know that your authority ends. Check in with the dedicated officers. If you're a patrol officer, check in with them. Log your name in that log. Log what time you came in and what time you left. Patrol officers are flexible employees that be able to allow other people to be able to take breaks, and knowing that there's someone still there after the other employee leaves and goes on their break or goes on their round is very, very important. It allows people to unwind, to be flexible, and to come back refreshed and continue their shift. Patrol officers have leeway for as where they can stop, where they can go, um, to be able to do reports. Most of them are lead officers, most of them are supervisor personnel, most of them are efficient officers who have been on the job for quite a while. Some of them are advanced security personnel for its level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 security personnel. Um, most of them have ranks for as corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, all the way up. That allows you to be able to know that these personnel have been on the job for a while, or they're very educated and highly proficient in their profession. Me personally, I have been in security over 26 years. I have been a private investigator going on 8 years now. I have been in law enforcement over 15 years as a police officer, working with different agencies, performing different tasks everywhere from traffic stops, drug busts, domestic violence, um, shootings, manhunts, sting operation, serving warrant, pretty much you name it. I've been involved in it and I've done it. It's um, a lot to think about and processing, uh, but they tell you what doesn't make you weak make you strong. So you have to be a level-minded individual to be able to do this job, because it requires complete attention to details when you're doing this job. You can't be sitting at your desk twiddling on your phone all the time, checking your text message, talking to your friends, talking to your baby daddy, checking on your baby mama, listen to Wycliffe on Spotify, or YouTube, checking out the latest YouTube boxing matches, or looking at somebody twerking on a video, trying to follow the girlfriend, trying to make sure she at home or whatever like that. You have to be 100% attention to detail. Your silent alarm might be going off, but because you're over here tweeting, you won't notice that because you're over here talking about this person and that person. You can't be drinking on the job, alcohol, smoking, illegal substance, whether it's prescription or not. You know, being impaired on the job makes you a liability. Coming to the job to be able to do the job is the only way to complete the job. If that's not something that you think that you can be able to do, then you need to reevaluate what's going on in your life. Make sure that you have completed everything so that you can function correctly when you go to work. And that includes getting a good night's sleep. 8 hours of sleep will do wonders for you when you go to perform your security job. Being energized and well rested makes you shine like brand new money. Paying attention to details doesn't only goes to the job, it goes as far as being off the job. As long as you're in that uniform, people are watching you. Even when you're not in uniform, people are watching you because they get to know you. They're going to know you by your attitude. They're going to know you by your character. They're going to know you by the way that you behave in public as well as on the job. Every aspect of your life will be under a microscope when you wear any type of uniform because people want to know who you are, what you're doing, where you're going, how you are accomplishing the things that you're doing. The more advanced you are in doing your job, the pay will come after that. You're going to get the raises. If you're being 100% professional, you're going to get the raises. This job is a very multi-billion-dollar job. I tell you, it's gonna increase you. You're gonna learn a lot when you're doing private security. You're not just like people think. People think that security personnel are people that goes out and be picked up off the street. Say, hey, you want to work and you want a job. They give you a shirt. You buy your own pair of pants and shoes. And then that's gonna be it. That's not security person. And that's not what you're gonna be thinking about each and every day. Because security personnel are highly trained. They're here to do a profession. They're not Joe Blow off the street. Even though some people that you see that may look like that, those are individuals that don't care about their job. Those are individual companies that don't go out and check up on their people. They let the people walk around with their shirt out. They're all out of uniform and they're doing things just because they're out there doing it. These are mostly people that you see at night. They're out there, they're so used to doing their job, they just don't care. They're afraid to be in the public eye. They want to look tacky and they really don't even want to be on the uniform. Most people, they're wearing jackets, covering up their patches, covering up their badges. That's not being professional. When you're a security personnel, you got to have either security on the back of your jacket, the company name, or you have a company patch on the shoulder of your uniform to be able to do your job. So you have to be able to accomplish the task. This is just a small token of the video that I'm going to share with you at this moment in time. I will follow up with another video shortly. Thank you for your patience. Yes.